Hello everyone, I'm Tommy with Studio Sense. Yes, it is that time again. Man, the time flies from year to year it seems. It's autumn or fall, at least coming up pretty soon anyway. Soon enough for us to take a little bit of time, do a little bit of bottle organization, clean off the dust from last year's rotation, maybe try something new, but at least figure out what we want to look forward to wearing when the weather starts turning a little bit cooler. So I've gone through mine and picked my top 10 fall or autumn favorite fragrances. So when we return, we're going to check those out, talk about them and more, so stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. Yes, that's right, the weather is changing. It's time to look again at a new set of fragrances. Fall and autumn is, like many people, my favorite time of year because I really like those fragrances that are deeper, darker, richer. You'll hear me say those three words quite frequently, and I think it's kind of funny because to me it's, I guess, some of the best adjectives to describe some of the best features of fall or autumn or wintertime fragrances, cooler weather fragrances. So I compiled a list of 10 of my favorite fragrances that I'm looking forward to re-wearing and getting reacquainted with. And I didn't do this on purpose, but you'll notice a pattern in a lot of my fragrances. Instead of talking about that, let's see if you can pick out the pattern. Let's go ahead and get started. We've got a lot to go over, 10 bottles. So coming in at number 10 is a fragrance that I did try out for the first time a few weeks ago. It's from Byblos, came out in 2017 by Pierre Constantin Guéros, the perfumer of this fragrance, and it is appropriately named September Morn. It's got frankincense, vetiver, leather, amber, and oud. It's almost like mixing a slightly boozy fragrance with Encre Noir, and it has a fantastic leather note in this. This is kind of an underrated or underappreciated gem. It probably deserves a better spot, like higher up in the list, but I haven't had yet an opportunity to give it a ton of wear because the weather's been so warm, and this is not a warm weather fragrance. So I'm looking forward to rocking it out a lot more in cooler weather. So this is going to be one of those fragrances that you can wear dressed up. It does have kind of a mature, stately value to it, but it is not a young man's fragrance. When I say young man, it's not like a high energy, high vibing, high-fiving type fragrance for youth. Youth being, I would say, anywhere from 25 and under, probably won't appreciate the finer nuances of September Morn, but to me, it's going to be a great fall and autumn fragrance. So that's why it's my number 10. Coming in at my number 9 spot was originally released in a trio of fragrances in 2017 by Robert Graham, and it is called VALOUR. VALOUR is a great coffee-based fragrance. In fact, the relatively simple note profile, it's got clary sage, Brazilian coffee, and amber. Pretty much it. But it's a finely blended fragrance. Oddly enough, it is actually the only eau de toilette. Now, when you go look at the bottle, it will say somewhere on the bottle or the packaging that it's a blended fragrance. Don't let that make you think you're getting like a watered down fragrance. It's an eau de toilette, but as an eau de toilette, it's got some really good staying power, some really good performance and longevity. You've got your really strong and synthetic coffee fragrances out there. This is not it. This is more on the subtle but high quality, natural coffee side of things. So if you like coffee fragrances that are a little bit sweet, you're gonna love VALOUR, and that's why it comes in at my number 9 spot. Getting even sweeter as the list goes on, coming in at my number 8 spot, this is a fragrance that was released in 2015. It is a creation of Francis Kurkdjian, one of the best perfumers in the industry, and it is a Jean-Paul Gaultier fragrance, and of course I'm referring to Ultra Male. The sweet, semi-bubblegum, lavender, patchouli bomb that is a great clubbing fragrance. It's a high energy, great performing, super strong banger of a fragrance that will penetrate those layers of clothing. If you like wrapping those scarves around your neck, that's okay. Spray a little bit around your neck or spray a little bit on your scarf or the outside of your jacket. That's one way that the fragrance will not only penetrate the clothes that we're wearing, but they'll penetrate the mask that other people are wearing. Featuring notes like pear, mint, cinnamon, vanilla, amber, various woods. This fragrance is a banger, again, of performance. The longevity is amazing. It creates a fantastic sillage trail that is supremely sweet. That really nice mint and pear kicks it up into the air. It's also a feel-good fragrance. This is one of my go-tos when I want to change my mood and change my energy. That's why it's coming in at my number 8 spot, Ultra Male. For a car manufacturer to start branching out and making fragrances is not uncommon. However, it is rather uncommon for them to be really, really good. Well, with a perfumer like Natalie Lorson backing it up, 2013 saw a release, and that is Bentley for Men Intense. This is a fantastic, high quality, near niche quality in my estimation, boozy, kind of a rummy, boozy, leathery, masculine sensation. It is a masterstroke from Natalie Lorson. It's underappreciated, but I think it's starting to get a little bit more love in the community. When it first came out, not a ton of people really dug it, but now it's getting a lot of wear, it's getting some hang time, and I think people are really coming to see this as one of the best cheapy fragrances. It's really inexpensive. You can get it for 30 bucks or just under. This matches up to some of the really high dollar niche fragrances out there. It is very elegant, it is very exceptionally masculine, and the performance is amazing as well, again, as an eau de parfum, as all of these are. It's a daytime, nighttime, casual, upscale type of fragrance that is as versatile as you want it to be, and that's why it comes in at my number 7 spot, Bentley for Men Intense. Natalie Thorson dipped her hand into another pot with perfumist Olivier Cresp back in 2017 for Givenchy, for a fragrance that's coming in at my number 6 spot, and that is Givenchy Gentleman. This is the eau de parfum. There is an eau de toilette. This is a very rich, very elegant, masculine, almost sometimes smells like creosote. You know, that really rich, dank note that just makes you think of fire and snow elegance. You know, this is another fragrance, again, that you can wear to an extremely upscale event, black tie event, or you can also just wear around the office. Now again, it's an eau de parfum, it is very heavy. All of these fragrances are fall and winter fragrances, but they're also statement makers, okay? They'll get you attention, they'll get you compliments, they're all compliment pullers in my estimation, and this is no exception. I haven't been able to give this a ton of wear, but when I have worn it, I've always caught a whiff of my scent trail, and it amazes me every time that I catch it. I'm like, wow, that is really nice. A little bit goes a long way on this one, and this one actually is easy to become anosmic to, so kind of avoid the front area. Lavender, iris, patchouli, vanilla, tolia balm that lend a hand towards that fantastic performance that this gives, and that's why it makes my number 6 spot, Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Parfum. At the behest of Issey Miyake, Dominique Ropion came up with a fantastic fragrance in 2018 called NUIT NOIR ARGENT. NOIR ARGENT, or Black Silver, as I mentioned recently in my fragrance haul. If you watched my fragrance haul yesterday, you probably saw this in it. You can tell that with Issey Miyake, his winter fragrances, there's a lot more depth, a little bit more of a labor of love involved than in the blue fragrances that he creates, which blue and green fragrances for spring and summer. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just not as thought-provoking. They're not as, honestly, they're not as well performing as the winter fragrances. Noir Argent is no exception. It is dark, it is rich, but it also has a cool quality that I think goes really well with cooler weather. This is a mineralic, almost like a metal, like a fantasy note, like metal, like the silver, featuring notes like nutmeg, saffron, frankincense, leather, has a lot of resinous notes in here, and various woods that help buoy the performance. The performance in this is pretty amazing. If you've ever used something like one of his other fragrances, Pulse of the Night, it's very much akin to this. It's an obvious flanker, but it works really well. Actually, Pulse of the Night is a flanker of this since this came out first. Noir Argent is going to be one of those that you want to wear when you are going to an upscale event or more of a kind of a dressed up occasion, but it also can be worn on any casual occasion as well. And if you want to just feel better, well put together, and have like an elegant yet masculine deportment, this will be the fragrance you want to turn to, and which is why it's in my top 5. Coming in at number 5, Issey Miyake's NUIT Noir Argent. This fragrance was originally created, I think, don't quote me on this, 1949. It was a really old fragrance as a fougere for men. It was kind of like for the dapper man, you know, the typical barbershop dapper man with a handlebar mustache, the top hat and cane. In fact, the fragrance is called Moustache, and it is by Rojas. Natalie Graciaceto threw together an amazing fragrance when she reinvigorated it in 2018 as an eau de parfum. So coming in at my number 4 spot, Moustache by Rojas, the eau de parfum version. This fragrance is boozy, it's leathery, and it's got a strength to it. It's got a bracing kick to it. You would think that there's juniper in this. The fragrant notes in this scent are so deftly put together that it's really hard for the nose to pick out certain notes in here that are causative or substantive to the fragrance itself, like rose. You know, I never picked out rose in this. I know that it's adding something to the body of the fragrance, even though undetected by the nose. You've also got mandarin, cedarwood, patchouli, benzoin. There's some fantastic fragrant notes in this, and it is one of those, again, it has such a body that when you spray it on, it literally goes to work on that sillage trail immediately. So that projection is immediately lifting off the skin. It is grabbing the attention of everyone around you. And that's why Rojas Moustache, the Eau de Parfum, makes my number 4 spot. In 2019, Antoine Maisondieu was put to work by Armani to create a flanker of their very popular Armani Code line, and that is called Armani Code Absolu. Now, I recently talked about this with a fall haul. If you watched that fall haul, this is just kind of a recap of this. Armani Code Absolu, the reason that it makes my number 3 spot, and we are in the top 3 now, the reason it made my number 3 spot is because I can't say enough about an apple note that really makes me think of a fresh apple. This one is so crisp and it imbues such a fresh, citrusy presence and body to this, which is a fall or autumn fragrance. This is the first fragrance that actually has a note of apple that to me does fall and autumn really, really well. Now I will say the Boss Bottle Eau de Parfum that was recently released this year, 2020, I've not tried that out. I'm really, really hoping that it is as equally good in terms of apple, you know, kind of that crisp apple, because Hugo Boss fragrances are very well known for having that apple note in them, but it's often a very synthetic apple. This fragrance, again, it's another one that can be dressed up, it can be dressed down. Besides apple, you've got green mandarin, you've got nutmeg, you've got tonka, suede, vanilla. It does carry that Code DNA. It's got the energy of Profumo, but it has the maturity and stateliness of its own unique profile. And that's why Armani Code Absolu takes the number 3 spot. Coming in at my number 2 spot is going to be another familiar fragrance to you if you watch that fall haul. Yes, that's right, it is a Cécile Mouton creation from Emporio Armani, came out in 2018. It is a flanker of a Stronger With You. It is a Stronger With You intensely. It's got more juniper, more violet, more lavender, more sage, more toffee. It's got tonka, suede, and amber. The wonderful thing about all these, there's a ton of sweet notes in here, but what I love about this is it's never sickly sweet. I said that in my fall haul video, I'll say it again, it bears repeating. This fragrance is never sickly sweet. It has a masculine presence about it that's amazing, specifically in the mid to the dry down. If you spray this on and it rubs up against the clothing that you're wearing, and if you don't happen to wash it the next day and you just like throw it in the corner of the bedroom, you pick it up, you'll smell it. It's going to be amazing to you. It'll refresh the idea of what this is really bearing. It's a very, very nice compliment getter. Has all the components about it. It's one of those fragrances that to me pings a 10 out of 10. Probably should be number 1. Super accessible, and the reason why it's my number 2 spot. All right, guys, we're down to my number 1 out of 10 fall and autumn fragrances. It is a Quentin Bisch and Michel Gorard creation. It is a flanker of an original Wanted fragrance by Azzaro. You know what it is, of course. It is Wanted by Night. Just like the title infers, it is a nighttime wonder. What that means is a fantastic date night fragrance. It is a clubbing fragrance. It's perfect for clubbing because it is a super, what I call a super high energy mind changer. It changes your energy. It changes your thought process. As soon as you spray this on and start wearing it, you feel that positivity that can only come from optimal flow. You feel like you can be your best authentic self. You want to go hang out with friends. You want to do something fun. You know, no matter what it is that you do, this is an accoutrement you want to take with you to make it better, which is why it's my number 1 spot. Wanted by Night is a fantastic performer. The longevity on this is amazing. I get at least a good 10 to 12 hours out of this. Now, this has been called the Better 1 Million. It's been called a Spice Bomb Mini. I mean, it's got a lot of titles. I really do think it's a poor man's Spice Bomb, but it's a lot less spicy, a little bit muted on the spicy side, totally amped up on the masculine, charismatic, alluring side. Cinnamon, red cedar, and tobacco are the 3 main accords in Wanted by Night, but there's a lot of other supporting roles like mandarin, frankincense, cumin, cypress, cedarwood, and the aforementioned tobacco absolute, cinnamon, and red cedar. There's cedarwood and red cedar, so it's also very woody, specifically in the base. Every time I take the lid off of this, which by the way, getting the lid off of this is going to bust your knuckles. It's really hard to grip because the lid is small, and especially the snap is so substantial that getting it back off can be sometimes hard. Now, I've gotten mine off quite a few times because I've worn it so much that I've worn it down a little bit. Just a little bit of a warning, the lid's kind of hard to get off. It's a knuckle buster. And for all those reasons, that is exactly why it's my #1 pick for fall and autumn. Azzaro Wanted by Night. Well guys, that wraps up 2020's top 10 fall and autumn list for Studio Sense. I hope that you enjoyed this list. If you have any experience with these fragrances, please let me know in the comments below. If you feel like this list was missing anything, let me know that as well. Again, thank you so much for stopping by and checking out my video list today. As always, thank you so much for your support of my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you next time.